Hi, my name is Gloria Londono, and I just got interviewed in an amazing podcast with Kevin and Son. I share about my story that I have in my book on Flourish in Captivity, where I talk about my kidnap 90 days in captivity, where I found the freedom. And I want you to listen to this podcast because maybe it will transform your life. And that's what I wish for you. Have a great day.
Welcome to another edition to Talking with WIT Kevin and Son, featuring people you should know. Hi, I'm Kevin McLemore. I am your show host, four-time published author, speaker, and mindset messenger. This episode is brought to you by RMK Productions and the 10 United Podcast Network. Through the power of our stories, our mission is to uplift the power of your voice, inspire, share stories and experience and perspectives using the framework of teaching, learning, and modeling. Our purpose is simple: hope, helping other people every single day. Now, whatever your objective is, successful people create a framework around their day to day lives that sometimes not only enhances theirs, but like my guest today, they pour into others. This podcast will reveal the secrets of a true survivor overcoming captivity and who is now thriving and living a highly effective life and sharing her story of PTSD, post traumatic stress disorder, and has positioned her life to help others. She is a social activist. Today's guest will share with you the steps she used to survive in captivity. Today's guest also has a successful podcast. She is a certified spiritual coach. She's a new author, and we'll talk about this, her book, Social Activist. And her life is all dedicated to helping people live post-traumatic stress syndrome. My guest story is an emotional, it's a game changer, a story needing to be told, a roadmap to human survival, and through her story and her new book, and how she began her personal journey to healing and overcoming depression and anxiety. Now, my guest has dedicated her life to giving back and helping other people transform their life, not only physically, but mentally, spiritually, and to become the best version of themselves. Today's guest will show us or take us on a journey to show us small steps that lead to big outcomes, doing whatever you have to do in order to survive, to forgive yourself, and living a life with action and abandoning the life of anarchy, dysfunctional behavior, and becoming the champion of your own change. This show is about facing your challenges head on. She loves life. She has overcome personal challenges. She has discovered her talent as to helping other people, and she has surrounded herself with gifted people. And maybe if you stick around long enough, you'll hear her 7 steps of her survival. Today's guest is fun. She's relatable. She's a powerhouse of speakers. She's a living example of what true grit is. Let me welcome to the show a hero, a shero, Miss Gloria Londono. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Kevin, to invite me to your show. It's an honor to be here with you and also to share my story for people to understand the story and also to transform their lives.
Well, your story is a story that you only see in movies. And I'm sorry that I stuttered right there. Um, but it's amazing. At the age of 25, your car was stopped. A gun was put to your head. You were on your way to pick up your 3-year-old daughter, and you found yourself in the most unlikely scene. And when you read your book and listen to other interviews, it sounds like a scene from one of Liam Neeson's movies, Taken. But this is not acting, it is the beginning of your story, but not the end. Let me ask you this before I go into your story, because I know and I hope that this does not trigger you. If your daughter was standing at the edge of a beach, the sand on her feet, the ocean um, dancing around her ankles and going and returning back to sea. And after several minutes, she looks over at the horizons and then she focuses on her feet as a bottle with a note hits her feet. Inside that note, and inside that bottle is a note that's written for you to her, not only explaining your story, but leaving her with life lessons and a message. If I were to ask you off the top of your head right now, as your daughter is standing there reading the note, but now she's hearing your words as we play this back 25 years after you're gone, what would that note say to your daughter?
Um, that I love you, never give up, and I'm sorry for whatever situation I make her to go through. That I know deep inside of me that it was needed for us to grow up together. And I hope one day you will understand this, that it was not me wanted to make her to go through this, that I want her to also be aware of life. And I'm grateful for her to be with me in this life, in this journey that is being very challenged for us. But the only thing we have is together and us to be forever.
That's a beautiful note. Most people want to dive right into um, what has happened to you in the past, but you're doing great things here in the present. And I want to make this story personal, especially to young women and empowering, not to excuse the young men because post-traumatic stress disorder applies to everyone. Even though I live with a TBI, which is traumatic brain injury, um, I guess sometimes my symptoms overlap with some of the symptoms that you talk about in your book. Can you explain to me what exactly is post-traumatic stress syndrome disorder?
Right. Is a syndrome that happens after a major traumatic event. And that comes when you are in extreme fear and you have you get an extreme anxiety, and also you got some versions of extreme depression. And everything comes from a complex trauma that interferes with your survival mode. So everything impregnates in you when you are in that situation. Like your body, in your brain, in your mind, like recall that in one place. So when you get out from that, whatever situation that you are in, for example, in my case, when I was kidnapped and I got released, I didn't know I have post-stress traumatic after the fact that I starting to feel some symptoms. And the symptoms was the fear of everything, fear of being alone, fear to be dark, fear to walk in the street, fear from people, even fear when people comes to me, closer to me, I stop breathing sometimes. Um, Sometimes we don't know how we're gonna react in some situations. So that's also part of the PTSD, that somebody I can be talking to you and someone comes and say, oh, there's a person outside with a gun, what are we going to do? And I can get triggered. I can get very into my fearness, and or I can get like went to a panic attack that already happens to me, or I can be aggressive. So PTSD is something that we don't know how it's gonna affect us, and we don't know how we're gonna react in some different stuff. That's why in my book I always talk about that you need to recognize when you have PTSD, what kind of PTSD you have, how you how how you understand yourself when you are in situations, because there's all kind of PTSDs and people feel different, people get triggered differently, people are so this PTSD thing is case by case, person by person, because I can get panic attacks very easily. Some people don't. Some people maybe react. Some people get aggressive. Some people can run away. So it's like you have to understand how's your PTSD for you able to work that. It's not like something that you're gonna be cured from that, but it's something you can transform that in a way that you understand yourself, that when you hear stuff that you may can trigger you, you can be conscious enough to say, okay, this person is talking about this. I can feel trigger a little bit, but I know I'm in control of myself to be able to hear this. Sometimes it people can't, but is the always the reminder of when you have PTSD, you have to understand yourself well enough to be able to go through life because it's there. When you have a traumatic event, it's always there. It's always there for good, for bad, and for not that bad. It's always, it could be a blessing, it could be a curse. So it depends how you conduct your life.
I'm glad you said it that way because there's a quote that we recently had a discussion on one of my other podcasts, and it says, "Never be a prisoner of your past. It's just a lesson, not a life sentence." And you kind of summarize what that uh, quote basically means. I mean, I don't know how other people would um, interpret that quote or what their perception would be, but the way that you phrased it, what put it together pretty good. So I'm a visual person. I'm going to paint you a picture, and please forgive me because it may not be exact, but at 25 years of age, a normal day in Colombia, you are in the process of, in your mind, you're thinking that in the next couple of hours, you're going to have your 3-year-old daughter, Camellia, in your arms. You're on a way to pick her up from school. I don't know if it's kindergarten, daycare, or whatever,
Daycare, daycare.
daycare.
Yes.
And like I mentioned earlier on, like a scenes from a Liam Neeson movie, is that Neeson, two cars block off your exit. And before you know it, there is a gun held to your head. I know in my story, I say most people cannot connect with the fact of being shot at that changes your life. But I do know that having a gun held to your temple or any part of your cranium could be life changing. But yours didn't begin with just being threatened. Yours became being taken. Will you take us back to that morning, that afternoon, or that evening of how your story began, not how it ended, because your life is still living. But to our audience, take us back to when you were 25 years of age and your life went 360 degrees different from what its original plan was.
Yes, of course. I was a woman that very spoiled for by my father. My father spoiled me a lot. So I was a little bit not with my shoulders, with my head over the shoulders. I thought every life is just, right there and nothing can happen to me. Very like, thinking that I was all that, right? And things in life when they happen to us is for a reason. So that day I was in school. I was studying to be in business administration. And that day I didn't feel anything like irregular or something like intuition that something's going to happen to me because I was not even connected to myself because I was like very, you know, voluptuous and I have money, I can do whatever and not thinking about different stuff or life. So I went into my car and this coming out from the university, these two cars intersect me. And I saw when they intersect me, but I didn't think that was for me. I thought they was fighting between each other. That's why they stopped. There was fighting, but I never thought I was gonna be kidnapped. So when I feel that gun in my head, I hear my father in my head telling me that, because I thought they was gonna take away my car, because my car was a fancy car in that time, and it was the only car in Medellin that my father bought to me. So my father, when he got me that car, he said, if they're gonna rob that car, let them be, let them take the car. So that was the first thought that I have in my head. Oh my God, they're gonna take away the car. And then I said to the guy, because the guy said, get out, get out, get out of the car with the gun in my head. I didn't understand in that moment what happened, but I hear my father's voice, get the car away. So I said to the guy, hold on, hold on, hold on. I have the seatbelt on. I have the seatbelt on. And I just removed the seatbelt on, it take up from me. And the guy grabbed me from my left arm, take it out from the car, and put me in the trunk of the car. Right there, from the moment that take me out from the car, and the moment they put me in the trunk, my mind was spinning like crazy. I didn't have a thought. It was like in white motion, like the fear of my body took on. So I couldn't understand. I couldn't comprehend what was happening. So when they put me in the trunk, I knew right away, right there, that something, it was more than what the car, take a car. It was me, but I couldn't comprehend at that moment. And I was in panic mode, horrendous. I was thinking in my daughter. I was thinking in myself. I was thinking, where are they gonna take me? What is this? I don't like, it was horrendous, but also my intuition and not my intuition, my survival mode kicks in. And I remember when they stopped the car and I opened a garage. And why I know it was a garage? Because in my country, we have some garages, the doors are aluminum. So those garages make a lot of noise when they open. So when they stopped the car, I was already like crying a lot in like a panic attack, but also like my survival mode kicks in and say, okay, like, okay, let's see where we are. And then I hear a garage open, and I feel the car did like a little bit of going a little bit up in park, and I hear the door close, and I said, oh my God, what is this? So everything was quiet, and I feel that in my side I had my cell phone, because in that time in 1997, it was October 22nd 1997, we had a cell phone, but the cell phone was those big blocks of cell phone that my father gave me. And I feel that I have the cell phone with me. And I said, oh my God, I have this now. These guys are gonna think that I call my family. But I couldn't understand why I couldn't dial, because some people would say, well, I would dial if I have a phone. No, when you are in that situation, in that kind of stress mode, you don't have mind for nothing. You have to be trained for that. But I was not trained to be in that situation. And when the guy opened the trunk, the guy did this to the trunk, and he said before he opened the trunk, I'm gonna open the trunk, and when I open the trunk, I want you to be calm, and I want you to be not looking out. I want you to put your head down, because I'm gonna take you out. Of course, what you're gonna do, you're gonna listen to that, because your life is in their hands. So
What
the guy opened the trunk, And the first thing, my first reaction was, here's my phone, here's my phone. I didn't dial, I didn't dial, I didn't dial. And the guy looked at the phone and said, oh my God. They use a bad word. What the fuck? Why we have
What the
this?
F?
Yeah, what the F? And I said, I didn't call, I didn't call. You can check, you can check. I don't know. I don't know that I have to do that. It was my survival mode, try to preserve my life. So he grabbed me from my back, that still today hurts sometimes, my neck. Grabbed me out, put me down, my neck down, so you have no way to move your head. And the only thing I saw was 2, 4, 6 feet, like 4 pairs of feet. So I knew it was, 4 people there.
Did you understand by any chance of, could you figure out who your captors were? Were they organized crime members, militia, military?
When they kidnap you, they have to kind of tell you who they are. So what they said to me, it was a mix um, of groups, that because there are different kind of groups. There are groups in the city and there are groups in the mountains. But some groups in the city are connected with the groups in the mountains, and the groups in the mountains mostly of the time are guerrillas. So they have a kind of type of connection with the guerrillas, because when they put me in that little room, they said, we just kidnap you. So you know what is that? And I said, kidnap me? And he said, yes. I said, oh my God, why? Why you guys kidnap me? And then they said, you know why? I said, no, I don't know why. They said, because your father have money and we need money. This is the only way for us to have some money. And I said, how long I'm gonna be here? And he said, the lungs on your family, as long as your family want. It could be 2, 3 months. It could be 5 months. It could be 1 year. It could be several years. And when he says several years, I was like, oh my God, this is too much.
So I take it since you came from money, your parents
Yeah,
um, paid the ransom right away. So they returned you fairly quickly. Am I right or wrong?
that's what they was thinking. That because my father had money, because I was the girl of my father, they thought that my father was gonna give the money right away. It didn't went that way. It took my family 3 months for them to get me back.
And so what transpired during the 3 months? That they feed you, that they clothe you, that they bathe you at 25 years of age. You being a woman, there are things that you had necessities, needs at 25 years of age that happens to you as a woman.
Yes.
Were you, I hate to ask this question, but we see in the movies how were you trafficked or were you abused by anyone, beaten or whatever?
No, I'm so blessed for that. I'm so blessed for that, because I interview other people that are being kidnapped, and compared to my kidnap, I had a 5-star kidnap, put it that way, because they never punched me or trying to abuse me as a woman. Because what they said to me, then when they kidnapped me, they said that some order from the top, they said that they cannot touch me. So when he said that, I said, oh my God, so I'm so glad that I'm not gonna do anything. But mentally, they disturb you all the time, because they always said, oh, your family is not gonna pay, you're nothing, you're a piece of this, you're a piece of that. And every time they open the door, they see me like this, like jump. Oh, are you scary? Are you scary because we're gonna kill you? Are you scary because we're gonna sell you? Are you scary? Like all the time. So sometimes the physical part is hard to comprehend, but the mentally part is the most difficult one. It's the most challenging one because that's where they destroy you. Mentally all the time, thinking that every time they open that door, it's just gonna come and kill you because my family was not gonna pay anything. They feed me at the beginning. They don't feed me very well, and I have only 2 meals a day, and it was fair for that condition. For that condition that I was in, it was good enough. But also, my first 11 days, it was hard because I didn't have toilet paper in the beginning. I have to ask for the toilet paper, and it was like 2, 3 days. I don't remember exactly because some stuff you started to forget. I didn't have paper, and to go to do number one and number two, I couldn't, dry myself or clean myself. So I started to smell very bad. So on my second day, I asked him that I need to have a shower. And then finally said, okay, we're going to give you a shower. But that shower was with cold water. That now I understand that was better because that cold water maintained me healthy and maintained me in a peaceful mode. Because I was not used to cold showers. And then those cold showers was for me like a relief, big time. But at the beginning was hard. Also, it was hard for me to find the soap in my bathroom where everybody showers, like pubic hair. And I was very spoiled in my life. I buy the best makeup, the best lotion, the best shampoos and all that stuff. And this I encountered this situation where I have to use whatever they provide me because I didn't have the chance to say, I need this kind of shampoo or I need this kind of soap. So when I found that pubic hair and the soap, after 2 days I couldn't take a shower and it smelled so terrible. I just grabbed the pubic hair and flick it in the water and keep doing it. And then when I got my period, the first 11 days, I was crying a lot, very desperate, with a lot of anxiety, with depression and all that stuff. But at 11 days, I hear something that was telling me that I have to accept the situation. I have to accept the present and I have to leave the moment. And then I said, okay, the only way that I probably can melt their hearts of people is being kind. And I start, when they bring me water, I say, thank you for the water. Thank you for the food. Thank you for letting me shower. Thank you to bring me the toilet paper. So by the time I got my period, I told the guy, I got my period. I have only one underwear. I'm going to need another one because I got my underwear already got, stained.
Soiled.
Right. So the guy was nice enough to say, okay, let me see what I can do for you. So he bring me my feminine stuff so I can start changing. And he started to bring me out more often because he knew like when we are in our period, we bleed a lot. So that part was because I was kind to them, not because they was nice, because I start acting in kindness towards them, even in the situation that they have me. I have no choice. I have the choice. The only choice I have, it was to leave. And for me to leave, it was to survive. And to me to survive, it was to listen to myself and to the intuition to see what was next. So that was the entire work I did in being kidnapped. It was a big, huge work into myself. It humbles me. I feel humiliation, betrayed, all that kind of things that we came to this world to learn, to be able to transform. I did it all there. I have to be kind with the enemy. I have to forgive my enemy being there. I'm not a religious person, but I grew up in Catholic and by nuns, with nuns. And the Bible said that you have to be kind and you have to forgive your enemy. I couldn't understand when I was going to school. I didn't understand that. But being kidnapped, I understand that, because being kind to them, forgive them, to help me in the situation I was in, I was able to survive. And I was able to be where I am today. It was
I,
very hard. It was hard. I don't want anybody to go through this, to be able to see what I'm talking. But it's something that I went through, and I cannot erase it from my life. I have to transform that.
you know,
To know, yes,
it, it's amazing. Some people will listen to your story and immediately go through listening to your story of saying that you had a great life before this day happened to you. You were able to have a car that very few people in Colombia had. You were able to wear the nicest clothes, to go to the nicest place, to get an education, a premier education, to send your daughter to daycare. Um, and then people will say, well, you know, you were a target in a country, and why are you surprised? Now, the thing is that no matter what your status is, when you're born into a life of privilege, it is not your choice. And I want my listeners to understand that and listen to the story and get out of your own way. But I also want people to understand of being in a situation and understanding what, the 5 stages of grief are. I think being abandoned, and I'm listening to some of those things that that you're sharing with us as experience. Is one is you said you were held captive for 90 days. You ever ask yourself, after the first 11 days, why don't my parents love me? Why haven't they paid their ransom yet? Did you ever get to a place where um, you were angry at the fact that they allowed 11 days to turn into 60 days? Did you ever get in a situation that where you start to give up hope and thinking that one day they're just going to rape you and kill you, or whatever, and it doesn't make a difference how rich you are, you're still a woman, you're an attractive woman? Or did you ever get in a situation whereas you started bargaining with yourself and saying, how do I make the best out of this situation, and not lose my life and not be abused or whatever? Um, and I've read in your book that you did something in order to survive in this environment that very few people would have done. Most people have said, "I'm ready to slit my throat. I'd rather kill myself than have them kill me." But you mentioned once, and you mentioned twice in the last couple of seconds about kindness. How did kindness become part of the tools of your survival?
it comes, it comes because you have no choice. It's just like, it's a very hard question, because I didn't know what to do. I was angry of my family for the entire kidnap. At the beginning, I had hope, but then I find out that they was not gonna pay for me. So I got angry and mad into my family for a longest time. Even after they released me, I was mad. I hate my father and I hate my mother for longest time, because I ran away with my story. I didn't run away with their story too, because when they kidnapped me, they also kidnapped my family. And I didn't see that part because I ran away with my story. So being there, I have no choice to be nice. I want to survive. What I do, I'm a woman. I'm gonna be nice. I'm gonna use my seduction mode that women have. I'm gonna start being like, flirty. I want to flirt with them to see if I can get attention from one of them, and he can be the person who can save me. So when I hear my family was not gonna pay, I was okay. I'm a woman. I have powers. I can seduce, but I didn't know I was going into Stockholm syndrome. I didn't know that. I was the survival mode, the intuition told me what to do. And when you are in that situation, you get to a point that you you got so humiliated, they humiliate you so bad that you break. You break. And the ego thing, it breaks. Your ego breaks. You, in my case, my ego never told me, oh, don't be kind to these people because these people are bad. How you can be nice to them? No, my ego was not there. It was, I think, God, universe, my spirit, my soul, because my soul choose that experience to teach me to be humble, to teach me to be kind, to forgive the enemy. There's something that a lot of people don't understand. Your enemy is the person who hurt you. So how some people say, how I can forgive my enemy, how I can forgive this person that hurt me the most, and you run away for years with that.
And
So
did your feminine ways or your ways of seduction work to your benefit, or did it work against you?
it was my benefit in that time because I was so extra nice with them, very nice with them. And I start, like, when you are in survival mode, your five sense amplifies. So you start seeing more, you start listening to more, you start to feel more, and you start getting connected to yourself because you want to survive, you want to keep alive. So all that things gets amplified. And I start to read the people that was coming into my room, hearing their voices, hearing the way like the way they smell, the way they act, because I never saw their faces because they was covered all the time. So the only thing I saw was the eyes, and the eyes is the window of the soul. So I was talking to soul to soul. So I was like reading. I didn't know how to do this. It was just myself telling me how to survive. So I saw one of the guys was kind of quiet and the energy was kind of chill and everything. And I right away my intuition told me, like, this is your a way to go. This is your target, put it that way. And I started being nice to the guy, more to him, and we start having a longer conversations because I got attached to this guy because 15 days being kidnapped, I got a severe depression that don't let me move from the bed. I couldn't get up physically from the bed. So the guy came in with the breakfast and saw me like that. And then he put the breakfast down and he grabbed me up and I fell down. And he said, oh, you having depression. And right away I said, how this guy knows I have depression. So the guy pulled me up and grabbed me like this, hugged me around. And it was vital energy that he transferred to me. And I got attached to the guy. I said, oh, this is my savior. This is the guy who's going to protect me. This is the guy who's going to love me. This is the guy who's going to take care of me. He's not going to let the other guys to kill me. How I know that? I don't know. It was my intuition. It was the way I wanted to leave. Don't want to die. So
It, it,
I started to have a lot longer conversations with him. And
and
that's what we
and
got attached.
believe it or not, it's just part of human behavior, wanting to be held, wanted to be touched.
Yes.
wanting to be loved and wanting to survive. And believe it or not, every single person today, part of their survival is part of being loved. And even as a captive, I can connect with your story when you say that. And this went on for 90 days. That your kindness turned into love, and it reciprocated back to you. I don't need to go into detail. We now know that after 90 days, somehow your ransom got paid and you were returned to your family. Before we get into talking about your book, talking about the 7 steps of survival, how do people get in touch with you?
People can get in touch with me through my Instagram, Gloria Londono Coach. And I'm in Instagram. They can DM me there. And if they want to talk to me for a session, we can do everything through Instagram, and we can, talk a little bit and see if it fits with what I do, and then I we can go from there.
All right. And for our listeners, I do not want to sensationalize or trigger my guests. And the reason why I'm not going into the details, because I know when you hear her saying love, the first mindset of most people's minds that are not open, they automatically go to the physical aspect of love. But what I want to explain to you and what I want you to listen to is as a survival guide, to use kindness. She used her feminine ways, her beauty, her conversation, the look in her eyes, and in order to, instead of being a victim, she became the hero, not knowing this was how this was going to end. All she knew, and I'm speaking for her, is that this moment mattered. And the decision she made was either going to give her a second chance at this life or it could have ended her life, depends on how the game was being played by the people that controlled her. Now she is free, thriving. Um, like the quote that I said earlier, she is not a prisoner. There's lessons to be learned from her story. And this is the reason why she wrote her book. Let's talk about your book. What's the title of your book and where can you get it? And tell us why it's important that you wrote this book.
Well, okay, my book is the name of my book is Flourish in Captivity, and you can get this book in Amazon or in all the platforms for books. Also, you can get it in Kindle, and just look for the name Flourish in Captivity, or with my name, Gloria Londono. It's a memoir of survivor, forgiveness, and transformation. And I did this book for people to know about this story, and also to be able to transform their lives, that every situation, every trauma is necessary for our evolution. And I know if I didn't went through this, I probably would be a different person. And if you ask me today what person you prefer, I prefer this person that I am today, including the kidnap. It was horrendous situation, but it was a blessing for me, because it helped me to transform and to get out from the slavery of life. And when you are kidnapped, this is something very ironic, I'm gonna say. When you are kidnapped, your mind is free but your body is kidnapped. And when they release you, your mind get kidnapped and your body get released. It's something very strange, because you already, when you get out from a kidnap or any kind of complex trauma, you don't know what that situation come with it. So after I got released, I auto kidnapped myself in many ways. So what was the lesson for me to understand what is captivity, what is to be free, and also to start working in every single angles of my life to be free. Because freedom is not just, oh, I'm free. You feel free inside. All the angles of your lives are, you feel free about them. And it's like, for me, it's the ultimate goal that lesson teach me, is to be free. And when you to be free from everything you think, like your economic ways, the way you think, the relationship with people, Are you free and you give freedom to people when you have a relationship? With the
Right.
money, are you free with the money? Are you working in the financial freedom like people call? So
Right.
freedom is a big word that is, you need to work on that to be able to see the real freedom of life.
So let's talk about the first step of the 7 steps to transformation that you note in your book. Where do we begin? First step.
Okay, can you please tell me the number one so I can explain that?
Your book open right now. All right.
I
So
don't have my book here. I'm sorry.
okay. Let me switch to something else. So we're talking about life-changing events. All right. This is a life-changing event. But I also know that life-changing events carry luggage with us. You had mentioned in your book that you became a female narcissist, and most people
Yes.
think that only men has narcissistic behavior. You struggle connecting with relationships.
Yes.
Let's talk about how do we overcome from your experience of dealing with a traumatic experience such as kidnapping, feeling stuck in a relationship, being abandoned in a relationship, not connecting with any type of relationship. How do you deal with life events itself? What would be your recommendation?
My recommendation is when you recognize yourself that you are a narcissist. In my case, I was a narcissist because, like you said, you mentioned before, mostly women and most of the society always say that men are narcissists, women can be narcissists. I was one of them. The first thing is you need to recognize you are a narcissist. And when you recognize you're a narcissist, you have to know where is that come from, the root. Where's the root? Where the narcissists come from? Your father figure, your mother figure, the situation that you live in, how you grow up, everything. Everything carries on to your life, like we call the baggage. So when you recognize that, all that, the root, then you have to work with that and be aware of your stuff and be responsible of the things that you say, that you do, and how people react when you talk and when you do stuff. And the other thing, when you are in a long relationship that you name, quote unquote, I was with a narcissist, I I can assure that you also was a narcissist exactly like him because you match your energy with another narcissist. So when you discover all that beauty on you, then you have to be alone. You have to be alone for a period of time to be able to recuperate yourself, heal yourself, know yourself, why you act this way, why you cannot connect with the opposite, with men, why you are so defensive and all that stuff. And when you're ready, your body, your mind, and your soul will tell you when you're ready to start dating. Because I was used to jump from a relationship to another relationship thinking that that man was the narcissist, thinking that that man was the man who do this to me and that's why I'm leaving him. Maybe going to another man, it was going to be different. It's worse because it's like pile up all your stuff. So when you pile up all that, of course, you're not going to have a successful relationship with anybody. So you need to give space and time for yourself to be able to heal your narcissist.
Do you have a quote or a self-directing speech to keep you on track right now, to keep you from going back to where your life was the most painful?
Yes, I'm not going back. I'm moving forward. I'm moving forward and in the present because even sometimes the future give me a lot of anxiety too. Depression for me give me the past give me depression and the future give me anxiety, but the present keep me calm. So where I'm gonna be in the middle, in the present. I don't know what's gonna happen tomorrow, and I don't want to know. I just want to know, enjoy this moment. So that's what I say to myself, to my ego. Hey, we're not going to the past. We're going to we're going to stay here. Remember, we're not going to the future either. We're going to stay here. So
I love.
I always keep repeating that to me when I feel that I want to go back. And sometimes in life, or you can be in the past being very depressed, or you go into the stream to the future where there's a lot of anxiety. So you have to neutralize that and then be in the middle. And for that, you need sometimes help, a guide, a person to guide you, a master, or person. Anybody can be your master, but you need to be connected to yourself to listen to the signs or to listen for you to heal better.
Yeah, it's in my space, and I learned this through playing sports. It's I was taught it's called neutral thinking. It's not worrying about the play that you just had or what mistake you just made, but not trying to anticipate what to do next or what's coming next. It's to stay in the very moment and react to whatever is in front of you right now and deal with it as it is for right now. Um, do you know the difference between love or being loved now that you're out in a world, or do you still have flashbacks of your captive that you fell in love with in order to survive?
Of course, that's not never gonna go away. That something is there to help me to remind that I can be, I can get attached easily to a man and not love the man just to be attached to be safe. Because what happens to me is when I go into some relationships before, I was getting attached quickly because I want to feel safe. Now that I'm being alone for 4 years, it was hard for me in the beginning because I was not used to be alone. I was not used to be able to perform life by myself. But I also, the kidnap guy helped me to remind me that hey, remember that you you got attached to survive, but you don't need that to keep surviving in life. So now I'm like working in myself and remember that what happens, it was something that I need to go through to be a better person, to understand what is love. Love is first is myself, to be content, to be free, to be in peace, to accept the other person exactly the way it is, even with the things that the person have, to accept that. If I'm able to if I'm able to deal with that, because we have to be honest with us, some stuff that you cannot deal with it from the other person. So don't go that way because it's gonna be there. It's not gonna change. So I'm in that process, accepting myself the way I am first, loving myself the way I am first, traveling alone, being alone, because I didn't know how to do it. So that's why I attach, because I want somebody to love me. I want somebody to be with me. No, not anymore. I want
Let
to
me
be
ask.
I want to be with someone that wants to be with themselves, and they're happy to share their life with me. Not like I need that person to be happy.
Now, let me ask you this. This is totally going off, and I'm going to say I would be very surprised if anyone has ever asked you this question or framed this conversation to you. And I'm just curious because I'm a writer, and so right now my mind is talking about. I've signed several times in books, you know, live like today was your last day on
Yes.
earth. I would say laugh like it was how you made your living. And I said, love, like you were writing your own story. And that story could be a drama, it could be a comedy, it could be science fiction, or it could be the best love story that's ever told.
Right.
Have you ever given any thought, because you've never seen the face of a man that you love that held you captive? If he came to America and somehow your paths crossed, he knows you, but you don't know him because now his face is revealed to you. and this man pursued you and not told you who he was, and your heart again, your arms are wrapped around his and his are wrapped around yours, and your heart connected, and you felt that connection. Imagine if that story would come true. Could you love the man that held you captive? Or could you see this scenario ever playing out in real life?
That is scenario plays in the real life for a lot of people. Sometimes we confuse that. We confuse love. And I know 100% that I thought was love. It was not love. At the moment, maybe, yes. I love him because he was taking care of me and he was not letting me to do anything from any of those guys, right? But the real love, I don't think that was a real love. Real love,
It
I
was.
think, is more deeper. I think real love, I think I never feel what is a real love, to be honest with you.
Are you open to being loved?
I think so. I don't know if I'm ready, but I think so. Yeah,
Do
that
you
may
are
that make me emotional a little bit.
okay? The reason why I asked you that because I think I sent you over a manuscript and whatever it does ask this question because to our listeners and to anyone hearing this story, I said it's almost impossible to ask someone to love you when you don't love you. And
Exactly.
so I'm going to ask you, Gloria, do you love you?
I'm working on loving me.
Okay. All right. And I'm going to say until you get to the point that you love you and that work is done, the door has to remain closed because we got to get the world ready for you because you are such a dynamic individual on your own. But like everyone else, you are carrying some baggage that sometimes has to be a couple of pounds over the suggested weight in order to board the plane. And until you can lighten that load, and you're ready to receive love, you got to be able to give love to yourself. So, um, is there, if I were to ask if there was anything that you, outside of the kidnapping, that you can change in your life today, and you can just have that change, anything that you would change right now?
Um, what I change right now, I will change the way I treat myself inside of my head sometimes. The harsh I can be sometimes with myself. And
Okay.
also I will change the fear that sometimes grab me. And I know sometimes I said to my fear, I know you're here for to help me to survive, but sometimes I don't need you because it's like sometimes the fear get me sick in my body because it's somatized in your body. So I will change that. I'm changing that right now. I'm working on that. It's been 4 years working on that. But imagine you, I'm 52. Imagine half of your life having these talks to yourself, not loving yourself enough. It's not going to change in 1 or 2 years. It's going to take time to heal that. And people think that when you go to traumatic situations, things are you go to therapy or to a coach or anybody to help you. They think that they're gonna resolve your life. It's just the beginning. It's just somebody telling you what to do a little bit, but you know what to do. So it takes time to rebuild your life again. And that's where you need to be nice, kind, and gentle to yourself to be able to love yourself again or to understand what is love. Because I probably didn't know what is to love myself because I was very young age, very not loved by my father the way the father should love your daughter. He said that he loved me. Of course, I believe him, but I didn't see it, put it that way. So it was hard for me to see that. So I was always looking in men to love me. I was looking at men, my father, and I always pick my father in every single man. And that's why I said 4 years ago, no, I cannot be in this relationship because he don't my ex-husband don't see me. And it's not like he didn't see me. It was I didn't see myself. So that's why I said now is my time to see myself and love myself and to be able to be kind to myself. I was kind to people, but I was not kind to myself. And that's the work I do every day. And I know it's going to be for the rest of my life, because when you have a complex trauma, it takes a lot of energy, a lot of wanting to love life and wanting to love yourself to be able to get to a calm state, I would say,
Well,
and to
I,
love
I am
yourself.
I am so happy that you allowed yourself to be vulnerable, to share your story. I know it's not the first time that you've shared this story. It won't be the last time you share your story. But for some women and some men and some people that are struggling with how to identify themselves, you can replace your story with theirs. You can replace your trauma with theirs. You can replace how you survived with theirs and vice versa. But at the end of the story, we all have a story to tell. And you were nice enough in order to make sure you leave something behind. You put your story in a book. Flourish of Captivity. Is that the name of the book?
Flourish in captivity.
All right. It's the name of your book. It's on Kindle. It's on Amazon. Did you put it on Audible yet?
Not yet. I will.
All right, you have to put on Audible. And I want to kind of segue from the conversation because I don't want to trigger you. I see the tears running down your face, and that's not, I don't want to have an Oprah moment on Kevin's show.
No.
Um, because, I told you from the first time that I met you and we talked, you are loved. Okay. And the world will love you. I think the audience and our viewers are going to embrace you. They're not going to feel sorry for you, but they're going to embrace you. And they're going to embrace you because of your strength, your strength. And we all were in this situation. And some of us are surviving situations in relationship that we're just surviving and we are existing. And we're looking for that 90-day period when we can free. And sometimes we have to pay the ransom ourselves. And the ransom comes with a certain amount of sacrifice and a certain amount of risk. And you took those risks. And now you're giving back. What do you want our listeners to take away from your story when you share your story?
I want people to be free. And I know there's a lot of people in relationships that they want to be free, but they don't know how to do it. They have fears. They they don't have the key of the freedom. And the key of the freedom is inside of you. And it would take a toll on you. It would take a lot of energy from you, but the end result of your life is beautiful. And then you feel free, that you feel that you can be yourself, is amazing. And one of the most important thing in life is to see yourself, to feel yourself, that no one would do different. No one would change yourself. No one would change your life. No one would give you love. You will receive love when you love yourself, but you have to love yourself first. And with this book, I want you to understand that this is a process, that when you have a complex trauma, it's going to be days that are going to be fine and other days are going to be hard, but those hard days are where you need to be more kind and humble to yourself. Is where you need to love yourself and understand this is a process. I cry, I still emotional, I still have fears, I still have a lot of stuff, but I also understand that life is about that too. And to understand that life give us lessons and give us all these tools for us to be able to thrill in life.
And to my listeners, when you go over and you look at the five stages of grief is one, denial, anger, bargaining, depression. But I think that the biggest thing of coming out on the other side is acceptance. and owning your own story, and then choosing the power of your words and the actions that follow. I think that's the key, and that's at least my takeaway. Um, Before we end and I go to the closing, um, we've talked about your secrets to success. You have a great book that's available on Amazon and Kindle. How do people get in touch with you?
On Instagram, Gloria Londono Coach.
All right, Gloria Londono Coach on Instagram, Facebook, or
Facebook, like
link.
my name. Yeah, Facebook, like my name. You can look for me in all the platforms with like Gloria Londono.
All right, and I will make sure that your contact information is in the show notes when we release the description. But this show, my show, is a little bit unique. Um, I don't know how it became that way, but I'm not complaining. You know, going into we're beyond our third year, going and setting up the fourth year incoming. We've had something very unique happen. I've asked this question at least with 98 or 99% of my guests. Um, and my grandfather used to say that, um, you know, people that are in this life, they don't drive by an accident, they stop to help. And I made sure that I surrounded myself with people that have a high call to action. And this is part of the story of my story that was my grandfather's story that I'm carrying on. So that's where legacy begins with me, is that if you were to ask or been asked to have one ask or one dream to come true, and someone that's listening to this show, and the reason why I'm asking it the way that I've done, because I've had 6 people to date that total strangers, after having one of my guests answer this question, has made their dream come true. I've had 2 other people on my show that were the givers with the recipients, and some other people rather remain anonymous. But if you were to ask, had one ask, and if you want to be comfortable, take two. If someone can make one dream come true in your life, what would that ask be?
To be able to get my book to go through many people so a lot of people can heal and feel free.
Well, I think one, your book, I'm going to send a prayer on it that it becomes a international bestseller in multiple language. I'm going to make a strong suggestion that at some point in your life, do a TED Talk because I think you have a story to be told. I apologize for triggering you. It wasn't my intent, but it's hard to tell this story and not remember or not have feelings because you are a human. But I will say that you're a valued human in this life, and your story was necessary to be told. And your story will probably save someone's life. There's someone probably in this world right now that's listening to this podcast that is feeling stuck, that is looking for no way out, and they're trying to take the most easiest way out. And your story provides hope. And I use hope for saying helping other people every day. And you've helped some people without even knowing. And you've helped me be on this show. And I want to thank you. So is there anything you want to leave our listeners to before I close the show?
Well, I just want to say thank you to you, Kevin, to invite me to your show. And also thank you to the listeners that are listening to my story. That the only thing I want you to know that I want you to be free and I want you to achieve that goal. Because once you are free, you will thrive in life.
All right. So with that said, to my listeners, what I'll say to you, my takeaway from this is to grow, you must make some mistakes. To have confidence, you must address your anxieties. To forgive yourself, you must hold yourself accountable. To learn, you must go through some sort of stuff. To exist, you must show up more today than you did yesterday. You have to understand the power of your words. These are my notes for your mindset messenger. So, to all of my guests, we've covered a lot of information, and I hope at some point in this episode, you'll take something away and make it your own. Hopefully, we've touched you in a way that you're enlightened, that you see hope. And sometimes my guest story will allow you to connect to a soul or inner you that will allow you to grow and maybe change the view you have from your window right now. So if you like what you heard, what I would say is go to RMK Productions and Network and subscribe to our YouTube page. If you really like it, comment or share. And I can only say, thank you, Miss Gloria, for coming here, sharing your story. I know it's not easy to do multiple interviews and to share your story. I hope that your experience would say that one day that you will come back and we'll talk more about the 7 things that I neglected to make note in your book. So I got to have you back. But I'm going to say to you that there's always an open seat and on my show for you. So come back, please. So with
Yes,
that
thank you.
said, no, thank you. So with that said, to my listeners, my grandfather always said, when you get to a place in life that you can help someone else out, he said it's your duty to do so. He said, reach one, teach one. And with that said, and she's got a Wonder Woman glass. Way to go. And this is beautiful red eyeglasses. They make your face, Miss Londono. He said, reach one, teach one. And with that said, we'll fade to black and we're out. Thank you, Miss Gloria.